the thing to remember, if there's no median, there's no grass, there's nothing, the entire road, both directions, has to stop.
Montgomery County 911, what's the address of the emergency?
Welcome to another episode of Voices of Service. It's that time again, back to school time. And what that means, more traffic on the roads, school buses on the roads, and kids riding their bikes to and from. So we thought we'd bring our resident experts, traffic experts here, to give us a refresher, because while the kids have been out for 2 months, so have we. So thank you guys, Lieutenant Curry, Sergeant Smalley, thank you for being here with us today.
Favorite two motors from our, what is it, our very first episode, right? We did our cars.
Did our cars.
Did our Ghost graphics working out?
They're great.
You're great.
They're great.
Okay, well, good. So this is kind of fun. Adam and I, Lieutenant Curry, finished 28 years of service. We're entering 29, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
There's a contest to see which one of us lasts longer. And well, how many of us are there left in our class?
I think there's 11, but 10 as of September 1st, I think.
10 as of old Frank Springer's going
Yes.
to retirement home. And then, of course, we are
Penn State.
See, had to. Sorry, you asked for it, Curry.
Yes, I did.
So anyway, I love talking to you guys in the hall and getting your perspective on what's going on with traffic safety. I mean, Vision Zero is a big thing in Montgomery County. It's been a rough week. Like just yesterday we had a 28-year-old killed on a riding mower.
Yeah,
a zero-turn, a tractor out on Great Seneca.
Yes.
Terrible tragedy. We want to get to zero of these, and one death is too many, and especially when we look at the kids going back to school. This is an important part. You all play an important role, but more importantly, our listeners, our drivers, everyone else, they play the biggest role in making sure these kids are safe. So what are you guys seeing out there?
So obviously we haven't had school in a couple months.
Yeah.
We're going to start seeing the school buses here shortly. They're doing their practice runs now, so you see them out there now. And then starting Monday, school starts in Montgomery County. So we're going to start seeing a lot of school buses. People are going to have to take more time because it's going to take longer to get to school because the buses are stopping.
Right.
And we want to make sure that people understand that when those buses are stopping, those lights are coming on, the sign comes out, that means there's kids on the road. Most of the time they're getting on from the curbside, but sometimes they do have to cross that road. So cars need to be vigilant of all the traffic of the buses in the county so they don't hit any little kids or adults or seniors or things like that.
Right.
We want to make sure no one gets hit going to and from school. We want to make sure we get there safely.
So I see that sometimes I see parents chasing the bus. They missed it at their stop and they go up to the next stop and they stop on the other side of the road and they let their kid run across sometimes, right? Because they want to get them on that bus other than brave traffic to get to school.
Correct.
So I'm glad you brought that up about how they can come from the other side, and that's why we have laws the way we have. So we've got two things going on. First of all, and thankfully you've never pulled me over yet, we have officers out there that are doing traffic details that can pull you over, right?
Correct.
For passing a school bus. And then we have our school bus program, our camera program. Now, are there cameras on every bus?
In Montgomery County, there are cameras, I believe, on every single school bus. For a Montgomery County school bus, there are cameras to get those violators that do pass the school buses when they're not supposed to.
For enforcing passing the bus, okay.
Correct.
Now, this is very confusing. Cass and I were talking about this earlier. Very confusing, apparently, because they write a lot of tickets. So what are the rules?
So it's actually pretty simple. I know that we just put it up on our Facebook page. We put all the school bus laws because it's coming out there. But if the school bus is coming to a stop, you're first going to see those yellow flashing lights. Mm-hmm. And then as the bus comes right to a complete stop, the red flashing lights will come on and a stop sign comes out, which means you need to stop. So if you're coming behind the bus and if you were past the bus, it'd be on your right-hand side, you need to stop. If you're coming against the bus, coming from the other direction, that's where it gets confusing for most people in Montgomery County. And we can go over a little bit real quick. If there's no median, no grass, no raised curb, no safety zone, the entire road has to stop coming in the other direction. Everybody has to stop until that school bus.
Even if there's 6 lanes?
Correct. Even if there's 6 lanes on River Road or Great Seneca Highway or Georgia Ave, if there's all those lanes of traffic and there's no raised median, there's no grassy knoll, there's no nothing, everybody's got to stop. Now, if there's a median or a safety zone and it separates the northbound and the southbound or eastbound and westbound traffic, traffic coming against the school bus does not have to stop because there's that safety zone right there that would hopefully prevent anyone from crossing the road, because there's going to be a crosswalk, there's going to be walk signs, stop signs, things like that. So that's where it gets a little bit confusing.
Right.
But the thing to remember, if there's no median, there's no grass, there's nothing, the entire road, both directions,
Needs
has
to
to stop while that stop sign's out and those red lights are on.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the crosswalks, and I know we're going to have crossing guards out there as well, and I know that you mentioned you would like to say a little bit about the crossing guards. So tell us kind of how they're going to work together with us when school starts.
So the crosswalks, our crossing guards are mainly at elementary schools, right, sir?
Yes, elementary schools.
And they, for the most part, they're there to help the kids get across, and they use the crossing signals. They don't just cross the kids when kids are there. They wait for the walk sign. They wait for if it's a don't walk sign, they don't walk. They wait for the traffic lights. But they're there to help the kids to get across the street near the schools, not really near school bus stops. Again, crosswalks are super important here. A lot of people get confused with crosswalk laws, but if there's pedestrians and they're legally in the crosswalk, you have to stop for them. Especially now when we get close to school and around schools, we got to remember it's our little ones. They may not be paying attention to everything, but because they're so excited to go to school, they're looking to get there and not looking for traffic. So we want to make sure that everyone's getting to where they need to be safely.
Yeah, it requires us as drivers to be a bit more vigilant to make sure those kids aren't crossing and not paying attention to the laws.
Correct.
They need to.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned being legally in the sidewalk. Being in the sidewalk is a big deal, but there's responsibilities on everyone's part, right? Mm-hmm. There's responsibility. If I'm walking down the sidewalk and I want to cross the street, I have responsibilities too.
Correct.
Because I'm going to tell you, I've had this discussion with my daughters, right? No matter what, whether or not you violate the traffic law, violate the pedestrian rules, the car always wins against a human. It's terrible, and that's why both parties, right? So like I think, is this myth or not? We might end up playing a trivia game or something here, right? I'm walking down the street, I want to get onto this sidewalk and cross the road. I have to stop and look.
Correct.
Correct.
We're not playing Frogger.
Yeah.
So
I can't just step, legally, I can't just keep trooping on and just walk in the middle of the road. I have a responsibility to stop and give drivers a tiny bit of time to stop.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Legally, the pedestrian has to wait until it's safe to enter the roadway. They just can't come to the crosswalk and walk right out like they have absolute right of way. Because like you said, right or wrong, they're going to lose if there's an accident.
Yeah, the car doesn't care. It really has. I don't even think the Tesla self-driving things, they don't care either.
No.
And it's a terrible outcome. Okay, hold on. I got to go back to the bus thing. All right, I'm going down the road, and there's a bunch of lines painted in the road, because I've seen this before, yellow lines, white lines, whatever. It's 6 lanes, and there's this area in the middle that looks like a no man's land. And then a bus stops. Do I have to, and they put the red light out. Do I have to stop?
I'm going to let the lieutenant answer this one because
it's simple. I mean, the best example I can use in the county is River Road.
Okay.
If you go to Google Earth and look at the roadway, it's a big wide road. It's got 3 lanes in each directions apart. It's got that center turn lane. There's McDonald's there. There's a bus stop there, and we have a lot of confusion, a lot of issues with that location. Stop. If you can, like he said, if you can drive across the roadway uninterrupted, staying on the asphalt or the roadway surface the entire time, you have to stop. If there's a raised median, like a little cutout to make that turn, then you don't have to stop if you're on the opposite side of the road from the bus, or if there's a grassy median. But if you can drive uninterrupted across that entire roadway from one curb to the other curb, you have to stop, no matter which direction the bus is facing.
That's a really great way to say it. If you can drive across uninterrupted, then you must stop.
Yep.
I feel like that simplifies everything. You can drive, don't go.
Yes, 100%.
$250 fine if our school bus camera gets you?
$250. Or if the officer's there, because we will have a lot of officers out, especially these first couple weeks of school, it's $580 and 5 points on your driver's license.
$580 and 5 points.
Yeah.
And what do our judges generally say when those come to court?
They don't come to court very often. Sergeant Smalley and I were talking. I've been doing this, like you said, almost 28, going on 29 years, and I don't think I've ever had a school bus ticket go to court. I think most people are pretty embarrassed by it, and it's pretty cut and dry. But the handful I have seen in court from other officers, the judges are very unsympathetic. I mean, They understand the importance of this law and the seriousness of the violation.
Absolutely. Good for them.
And now, Lieutenant, we were talking earlier, and I think some people may say, there are so many officers in this one particular area. Why are they here? But there is data driven that is having those officers go there. Do you want to touch on that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the big thing now, we have shifted where we use data to drive where we do our enforcement. We look at the collision data. We also take into account complaints from the community, but our big driving force is our collision data. So if we're sending officers out in an area, it's because we've had issues there and we're trying to reinforce the need to obey the traffic laws. We try to hit all parts of the county, but we have like a high incident or high injury network where we've really had problems, and we're really sending Sergeant Smalley and his team out there to really focus on those areas.
I'm going to tell you, apparently there's a lot of complaints about Wooten Parkway.
Yes.
Maybe just a couple cameras over there.
Yeah, there's a few.
There's a few. But that's good, because I think we were talking not only on the speed cameras and the red light cameras, but also for the school bus cameras. We're seeing declines in the number of tickets that are getting issued.
Yes.
What does that mean to you as a motor officer?
It means the change of behavior. It's starting to work.
They're working.
Yeah. Because we're not in this to generate money.
No.
I think the money goes to the state anyway, or goes to wherever for traffic safety. This is about changing behaviors and making sure we can get to that vision zero if we can.
Right.
And it's very similar to what we do with high visibility enforcement that he sends us to every week. He gives us locations based on data. And if you look at those locations, in a good portion of them, the collisions are going down. So the enforcement's working with the cameras, with the officers. So put all that together, and then education like we're doing today, we're going to get to where the chief wants us, is Vision Zero. So.
Fantastic. Now, is there anything that you would like our community to know going into this upcoming week?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is bring your patience. Allow some extra time.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, it's your routine. You're driving your young son or daughter to school. You know how long it takes, but those first couple of weeks, everybody's getting used to the patterns. And, I understand everybody wants to keep their children safe. Like, I mean, back when I was in elementary school eons ago, you either walked to school or you rode the bus. I mean, I don't think my parents ever once drove me to school. I will admit, when my kids were younger, I drove them to school a handful of times, so I'm not judging, I understand it. But a lot of these schools, especially our elementary schools, they're not built to handle 200-300 cars to come in all within the same 10-15 minute period. So that when I say pack your patience, allow a little bit extra time, and understand also, talk about our crossing guards. One of the big complaints I'll get from the community during the school years, well, the crossing guard's not doing anything to help with traffic. The crossing guard is not there to direct traffic. They're not a traffic guard, they're a crossing guard. Their job is solely to make sure traffic stops so that the young children can get from one side of the street to the other side of the street. I tell them I don't really want them directing traffic, because that's not what they're there. I want them solely focused on getting those kids safely across the street.
And that's a great point there, because as a commander, I would always get complaints at the beginning of the year of what's going on around these elementary and middle schools, because so many people are dropping kids off as opposed to making them take the bus.
Yeah.
When I grew up, taking the bus was just part of the social aspect of going to school and learning how to get things done and do things. So I agree with you. Like, I took mine to school a few times. Now, when they get into high school, they're too cool. They got to drive, right?
Yeah.
Right.
They don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah. So they got to drive, and they find a friend that drives. But no, that's a great point. And we don't have enough crossing guards. It's a finite resource, and we wish we had more. But that's where we rely on parents and community to, make sure their kids understand how you cross a road, like we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Look again, right, and then you can cross at a crosswalk.
Yeah, it's that educational piece and responsibility that falls on all of us, right? As parents, to teach our children, or as grandparents, right? And really as our community to make sure everybody understands. Well,
Are you a grandparent yet, Smalley?
No, my oldest is only 19 years old, so
Okay.
right now I'm not. So,
In college?
James Madison, correct.
Good for that.
Yeah.
It's that time of year too, right?
That's all the year. All the college kids are going back.
all the college kids are going. I got to drive one up to UMass next week.
Excellent.
Now, the school's coming back. That's a big deal, and then we might have you back again because the next big event for us is the time change, and I know that's
huge.
that becomes a huge deal when it gets darker sooner, and the deer running.
Yes.
But anyway, that'll be a teaser. You told me we have to have teasers.
Correct.
So
There is a big pedestrian kickoff come October through the state.
Okay.
for pedestrian safety because of the time change. So we
Oh,
will,
cool.
we'll be out there.
Well, then let's talk again then and talk a little bit more, because we're actually going to do some stuff visibility-wise. There's things people need to understand about visibility and being on the roadways. So.
Correct.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here with us, Lieutenant, Sergeant. Thank you. Stay connected, stay tuned, and have a safe week back to school.